Okay, let's see if we can knock out this edit button. So when they click on edit, currently it's not doing anything, although we saw behind the scenes, if we look at the inspect, it actually is doing something. It's logging every time we click on one of these buttons. So we are getting data sent, which is good, or at least logged, sorry, not sent. And so what I'm going to do is, just in effort, I'm looking at the time, how many videos we've had so far, and it's a lot. So I'm just going to create a new new component. Just like we have new project form, I'm going to say, let's create a new file, and we'll say edit project form. Now, .tsx. So typically I am not in favor of this, but I just want to, it's going to be a lot the same as the edit project form. So I am just going to copy this whole thing, which is always dangerous because we always forget to modify something, and I'll probably do it in this video. And instead, what we're going to do, instead of new project form, I'm going to rename that symbol to edit. Rename the symbol to edit project form. So now that'll be changed. And then here, instead of new project form props, I'm going to say edit project form props. And we could try to reuse the same form, but as I looked at those two situations, it felt like this was the cleaner way of doing it. Whether that's right or wrong, who knows. So the difference, though, is here, instead of having a default project, we're not going to have a default project. We're going to receive the information in, and so I'm going to add to my props here a project. That's going to be the first thing we receive, and the shape of it is the same shape as a project from the project TS file. So I'll save that. So we're going to now get project and on success and on cancel. Well, what that means is this whole edit project form is going to change. We no longer are just getting on success and on cancel. We also need a project. And so we're going to be getting those three things. And then instead of add project forms, we're going to get edit project forms, right? And then for the data, the use state, we're still going to get a use state of a project type, but instead our default state is going to be to have expanding out whatever came in for our project. And I need braces around that. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to, all this other stuff to go in and build a default project that has a 0 and blanks and whatever, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just saying our default state is going to be whatever came in, passed into us as part of this project. All right. So then it doesn't like something in there. Oh, it's just a ESLint thing. Okay. Does that make sense? So we now have modified it, so we're receiving in a project, an on success, and an on cancel to know what to do in those situations for success and cancel. And then I've built form data, but this form data is going to be set as its default state to whatever just came in through the project. Okay, our handle change will be the same, so we're going to detect if there's any elements of change in those different input boxes that were entered. And then instead of adding a project like we did, we're still going to have the handle submit. But what we're going to do in this case is we want to edit the project. And so instead of calling our add project method, we're going to call our update project method. Now we haven't built that one yet, so we'll have to go build that. But what we're going to pass to it is the project ID, so it knows which one we're updating, and then all of everything that's in the form data. Those are going to be our two things that we're going to pass. Well, we don't have an update project built yet, and so where are we going to build that? Like, for reals, take a second and just, without me showing you, do you know where we're going? Hopefully these pieces are starting to come together a little bit, at least. Even if you don't feel like it's perfect, that's fine. But do you have a good guess, right? Where did we build our add project? That's in our project APIs, right? We built this add project method. And so if we're updating, we're going to build another one, export let's see, export, not esports, export for our update project. Sorry, I'm trying to find it in my notes. Export const update project. Well, what are we going to do on an update project? It's going to be equal to an asynchronous call. In order for it to work, we have to have a project ID, which is going to be a number. And we have to have an updated project. We're giving it that name, by the way. That is the type of a project. And then just like we did before, we're going to promise a project. So because of this asynchronous call, we're saying at some point you're going to get a project with this information. And then that is going to be equal to, or sorry, lambda, this function. All right, so in here, in the update project, what do we want to do? Well, again, I'll put a try catch, try this stuff, and we can put in the catch stuff right now. Catch, error, so I'm not rushing to do it at the end. And then we'll do the same thing we've done before with having in here console.error, error updating project, and then the actual error message. And then we'll throw an error at that point. So what are we doing inside the try? Well, the try, we're going to do similar to what we did here with the const response, you know, all this stuff here. In fact, we can probably steal this. Again, I'm not generally advocating for this, but I am trying to hustle. And so const response, but this time instead of add project, we need to go to our water controller, and we have one called update project. So back to our projects API, I'm going to call update project, but notice in the controller, we will also want to pass in the ID so we know which project to select. And so in the projects API, when I make this URL, I need to put a slash and then grab whatever is coming in as the project ID to be able to pass up to the server. And then otherwise, instead of the method post, we're going to have a method put. And then, let's see. So body JSON stringify, but this time instead of updated project, it's going to be, or new project, it'll be updated project. And then after that, we want to return await response.json. So just like we did before up here, we're now going to wait and get that data. So I think we need a semicolon there at the end, but other than that, I think we might be set. So we have built this into our API file here in React, a way to be able to update the project, and it's going to call and make this call to the update project, pass in the project ID to see if we can update it. Well, if I've done that right, then over here now, in our quick fix, we should be able to import that call to update project. All right, so I save this. In fact, I'm going to try and do save all. It always acts like, what is it not like here? Add project, yeah, we're not gonna, okay, so we don't necessarily need that import in this one. I buy that. So now that we've done that, we should be able to, oh, we gotta get the form to show up. So if we go back, can I do this quickly or not quickly? Probably not quickly enough, huh? But let's give it a shot. I'm walking that fine line of more videos or longer videos, and this is gonna fit in the update, so I think we ought to just continue on and do it in here. So what we need to do is, just like we have in our admins projects page, we have a variable to keep track of the show form. We can have a const if we are editing a project to know that we're editing a project. So we'll editing project, set editing project, and then we'll use state here. The type is a project, or a null. My heart just hurt a little bit. And then the default is a null. Okay, so we've got these variables to keep track of whether we're editing a project. And so here, as we go to load up the form, again, we'll make a decision here. We have the show forms for those things, but if we're editing a project, then we can make a little code here saying editing project. If that's true, then, this is going to be longer than I'm thinking.